What's going on, YouTube? So today I've got for you a video that I think is rather highly anticipated. I often get asked the question of what kind of strategies I use or what strategies do I recommend, and to be honest, up until this point I didn't really have a good answer for that for NHL 20. So this past weekend during Hut Champs, I decided that it would be a good opportunity, since I was playing really competitive games, to go ahead and test some strategies and see what I liked. And I did find that the ones that I was using, I didn't think were the best ones. So I went through it all on stream with you. I broke down, what my findings were and everything like that. So I hope this video helps you out, helps you decide what kind of strategies you want to use or which one works best for you. If you have any feedback for me, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for liking all the videos and subscribing. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, if you like the video, please hit the like button. It helps out a great deal. Subscribe if you want to see more content of mine in the future, and I will catch you guys in the next video. So in Champs, I was playing this. I was playing with this. And these two felt much better than what I was at before. I don't know what Saw's record was. So the 2-3 and the 1-2-2 blue felt better than what I was doing before. And then I was messing around with these. And I've determined that overload is bad. It's like just strictly the worst one, in my opinion. And I think behind the net is the best. So I have them set to crash now because that's what I was testing. But I switched it to behind because I liked that one the best. It felt like on behind the net, the players moved around the most. And like, obviously they go behind the net. But like, when you play on overload, it feels like your players just kind of stand there. Like they make that triangle in like around the slot kind of thing, and they don't move. They just stand there, and like it's really hard to make passes into like open space to get people moving and then open up more lanes, I feel. So when I was playing behind the net, it was way easier to move the puck because the defensive AI on your opponent's team, they don't sit behind the net, obviously, so then you can pass down there and then it gets people moving around much better. Especially if you're used to passing behind the net, it seems much better. And then, as far as Crash to Net goes, it was fine. I didn't notice it too much. But again, it kind of just felt like a better version of Overload, in my opinion. Like, it just felt like there were players at the net front or around the slot that were, like, moving and making attempts to be there more often than with Overload, where it says, like, it says here on the thing, cycle the puck, use player movements, misdirection and quick puck movement along the outside of the ice to pull defensive players out of position, but they don't move, which is the problem. Like, you can't use player movement because there is none. So yeah, so what, I haven't messed too much with these sliders yet, but my determination based on the Hut Champs games that I played is that behind the net is definitely felt the strongest of the three, but I just think Overload is bad. So if you're using Overload, I would recommend not using Overload. And then I made my forecheck, like I said before, I made my forecheck and neutral zone different. I think before I had them a little bit more passive. So like I had it as 1-2-2 red, but I switched it to blue because I wanted them to pressure more. Which I don't know. And then here I think I had 1-2-2 passive and I changed it to 2-3. I'm not sure about these ones yet. I haven't quite figured these ones out, but I've been happy with how all of this has been going. But yeah, that's what I have to say about strategies, is that overload's bad and people should not use it for right now. Until something changes with the gameplay, I don't think that it's worth using. See, but this is why I was trying to say that I think behind the net is the best, because you get so much more space when you actually incorporate that section of the zone rather than staying above the goal line the entire time, where it's so clogged up. Because when you go behind the net and you start passing back there and pulling your players down, you force the defenders to also go down there, and then it opens things up in front of the net. And it's not only, you know, doing far side wraps and things like that. I mean, you might find a cross crease or even a short side like wrister, just anything that opens up enough space for you to get a scoring chance. Normally, so the last few years that I've actually paid attention to strategies a lot, it depends on the year, but normally I always think the best is either overload or behind the net. I've never really meshed with crash very well. I don't know why. This year I think it's fine, and I think it's better than overload. I didn't really care for it too much, but I would still prefer to use it over overload. In my games, it feels like behind the net forces the AI to stand backdoor way more. Yeah, so like basically the way that I think about it is that overload has a triangle, kind of like two face-off dots and then highest slot. It's not exactly how they position themselves, but it's like kind of like a rough area of how the AI kind of stands, where it's a triangle like that, and then maybe the ones on the face-off dots will get closer to the crease instead. I'm motioning with my hand, you can't even see them. But behind the net kind of has a different triangle where it goes from behind the net and then like kind of two posts area. And then as you move, it rotates so that like sometimes you'll have somebody in the slot or high slot. But yeah, I've been finding just in general way more open players. And like I said, when you are behind the net, you pull defenders towards you. So that means there's one less dude that's standing in the slot covering a cross crease or something like that, opening it up for more for you. Yeah, so with overload, the problem that I was having was that I felt like my players weren't moving. And so I would just be kind of like circling around, and it wasn't even an intentional circling around trying to like kite the defender away from the net. It was literally just me trying to find somebody to pass to, and the only people that I could ever find open would be my defensemen. And it doesn't really help me to have my defensemen to pass to because I don't really have good enough defensemen to feel comfortable shooting with them. And then when I get the pass to the defenseman, I just have to pass back to the guy that originally had the puck because nobody else is open still. So that's why I was switching around the strategies to try other ones, and the other two, behind the net and crash, both felt like I was getting way more lanes open. Exactly, so overload tends to get me stuck on the point and along the boards at unprotected spaces. So that's exactly what I'm saying, is because the way that the defensive AI works right now, and the way that the zone setup generally is that you kind of have your guys on the perimeter, and then on overload, you'll have one or two guys hanging around like the house area, and then on his side, he'll just have like a ton of guys just clogging the slot for the most part, because most people play collapsing and, you know, very passive defensive strats, so it clogs the slot very well. And so the idea with overload, I think, if you actually read the description of it, the idea is that you're supposed to use passes around the perimeter to open something up, not on the perimeter. But it doesn't work because they don't, like, nobody moves. They just kind of chill in their clogged slot area, and they don't move. And so you don't get anything open, and nothing opens up because your AI don't move from, like, their assigned locations. And then you just get stuck either passing around for 10 minutes, or we're taking a shot that's not very high percentage, which isn't always the worst thing to do, because taking shots does move people around. Usually what I want to be doing with my zone time is passing around to eventually get to a good shooting position or a high percentage chance, and it's just not happening when I'm using overload.